Hello, everyone. This is Raise Your Voice as part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Brett Rutherford, joined as always by my good friend and co-host, Darby Robinson. We are live on youtube.com/at Raise Your Voice and also still available wherever you get your podcast. But if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to drop a like on this stream, subscribe to our channel, turn on those notifications so you can join us when we go live, hop in the comments and have some fun with us. If you really want to say thank you, patreon.com/raise your voice, where you can become a member for as little as $1 a month. I've got my Florida State hoodie on today. Florida State baseball just won the Tallahassee Regional over Mississippi State. That's Kevin Cash and Taylor Wall's alma mater. We'll talk about Taylor Wall's a little bit later on in the show, but Florida State's headed to the Super Regionals, potentially facing Oregon State. That's Drew Rasmussen's alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely some bragging rights on the line, potentially in the Rays clubhouse. But Darby, it's been a couple weeks. I was out of the country for a little bit. So we had some big news that happened last week. Chandler Simpson was demoted. Chandler Simpson, who had came up last month or a month and a half ago now, and I think made a really strong impression, right? He was exactly as advertised. Lightning fast, bat to ball, will just make something out of nothing. Exactly what we were expecting out of him. But the Rays make the decision to send him down to continue developing as they got guys coming up healthy. And I think there's a lot of factors that went into this decision. We could talk about the pros, the cons, the whys, and the why nots, but I'm kind of curious what your initial thoughts were to that news.
I mean, it's disappointing because he's such a fun player to watch and just like seems like just like a fun, dynamic player. But I don't think it makes a lot of sense too. Like, I think that is the one piece in this outfield that makes the most sense one-to-one to be replaced. And when you're looking at having a guy like Jake Mangum come back, he's just doing basically everything that Chandler can do, but just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And like when you look at like Chandler is a very dynamic, very fun player, but like he can steal, he can take a walk and get a triple out of that, but he still needs to get the walk. He still needs to get on first. And the bat has been as advertised. The lack of power as also as advertised. The defense has been a lot worse than I was kind of hoping. It's to be fair to him, this is like, his first full season kind of like transitioning. Like, he is new to the outfield. This is not a big thing. This is his first year above AA as well. Like, this takes time. He's been a mess in the outfield. He doesn't have any errors. He has 0 errors. But that's more to underline the errors.
Which is crazy because you think he would have more errors because he'd get to more balls than anyone in the outfield. But
and that's actually, I mean, that's also the big issue. It's like he's been somehow just taking weird routes, which again, like, he's a shortstop and second baseman who's now converted to the outfield. So like, it's going to take some time. So I think overall it's disappointing to send him down, but he is, when you're looking at this outfield, right? Like, I think people were talking about Cameron Meisner. He's just the best defensive center fielder they have on the roster. And that's a huge, huge factor. Chandler, the bat was good enough probably for what he can do. You really want him to be a bit better. You want him to draw a few more walks. You want him to get the ball a little bit more in play. I mean, he was getting in play, but like with just like, he's going to have 0 power, but like just like a little bit of juice to get into the outfield more. But there's some real things to work on. So while it's disappointing for me, I do think like this is also, everything Chandler does is fast, including his ascension to the majors. So having some time to like kind of work on those routes in center field in Durham and actually get some more practice time there. If he can just be like league average in the outfield, and they really kind of need him to be league average in center field, because corner outfield with that like kind of offensive skill set is probably not one that's going to last for very long. I think there's a room, and he's going to be back up this year, whether it be for injury or just by the end of the year, because this is a dynamic weapon you need on your bench and on the bases. I'm excited to see him again, but I really I want to see him progress. I think he came up, he made an impact, he really helped like bring some good vibes, and he has some things to work on. I think he seems like a very, very hardworking kid. If he can just work on those things and get a little bit better, I think he has a real place in the majors. But this makes a lot of sense, even though like it's gonna be hard I'm gonna miss watching him create some like absolute stress for infielders as they like hustle a routine grounder to second.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts. I mean, one, so we knew like even though he showed off some of this ability in spring training, we knew it was unlikely that he was going to break camp with the team. He had never played above AA. The Rays, I think publicly, I don't know how much was said, but there was stuff said about we want him to continue developing in the outfield. And that was very much clear. And one of the only reasons he came up so early was because of the injuries that the Rays were dealing with to their outfielders. You had Josh Lowe go down on opening day, and then ultimately Jake Mangum and
Richie Palacios,
DeLuca, Richie Palacios. And then so you bring Simpson up, and he does what he's supposed to do. He looks like a rookie. He looks like there's a lot of work left to do, which is fine. But you and I said on this podcast in spring training, we said we're not really sure how much of Chandler Simpson we'll see in the regular season in 2025, but they will get him enough time up that if the Rays get into the postseason this year, I firmly believe that he will be on that roster. I firmly believe 100%. That his speed, his game-breaking speed, which we saw on display, is much more valuable in postseason play than it is on a day-to-day basis in the regular season. And what's more valuable for Simpson's development as an all-around player, not just as a guy who can come in and beat out a single to first base or steal second, third, and maybe even home, is him playing every day. And the current roster construction, if the Rays are valuing winning right now, which I think they are, Chandler Simpson needs to play every day and not be a bench guy and a pinch runner that starts 1 out of every 3 days on the big league club, because there's still work to do defensively, and he can do that in Durham. I think that's going to be much better for him in the long run. The other side of it is look at the guys coming back and the guys that the Rays already have on the big league roster. Jake Mangum, who's 29, he's a rookie as well, but quite a bit older, and has shown his ability to hit, has very good bat to ball, plays pretty good defense. He's back healthy. I think the Rays value him. And as much as we were excited to see Chandler Simpson, when Jake Mangum came up and was lighting the world on fire for a couple weeks, Rays fans were loving that. So it's not like we're calling up, I don't know, Rob Refsnyder like they did. I had to do it for like 5 years. Rob Refsnyder who's had a fine career since
real solid player. Yeah, that's a solid player. Not as exciting. It is true. Like that.
Like Mangum has been exciting. He's a switch hitter, plays above average outfield, can run, and just puts the bat to the ball. Like, he's been exciting. Cameron Meisner been really good defensively as well, and he's playing a lot of center field for you.
And there is some Cameron Meisner's kind of been like the ultimate like Jose Siri replacement, because he's a guy, but he walks better than Jose Siri. He strikes out a ton, but like he works better at bats, and it's still a guy that's like great defensive center fielder. Maybe he can run into a home run here and there. I think he provides a lot of value at the ninth hole. I think Mangum is one of those guys, like, who knows how long it's going to last, right? But like, if you think, if you were a doubter on Jake Mangum's play style succeeding, then you probably are not a big like proponent of Chandler Simpson, because that is basically Jake Mangum with a little less power, but a lot more speed. And Mangum's fast. He's a slap contact hitter. He puts the ball in play. He does have, though, the two things right now is his defense is considerably better in the outfield. He has a lot more experience at that. And he has some power. It's like the difference between a 30 grade and a 20 grade, a true 20 grade, is that. I mean, Chandler
Simpson is like, the speed is like a 90 grade, like above, it breaks the scale.
Yeah.
And the power is like below a 20 grade.
Probably a 10. Probably a 10.
In the other direction.
And like I said, Mangum has like no power, but like Simpson has negative. In fact, actually, of batters of at least minimum 100 plate appearances, Chandler Simpson has the lowest hard hit rate at 9%. The next lowest hit rate is Jacob Young of the Washington Nationals at 13.7% on the season. Luis Arraez at 14.6.
The low bat speed guys that are incredible. And Jacob Young is finding he's putting up some weird numbers.
Matt Shaw is down there. I mean, like there's players that can play here. Victor Scott, good friend of Simpson's, two very
similar profiles.
15. Yeah. It can work, but like for right now, like Jake Mangum is a guy that provides more value, right? He's a switch hitter, plays good defense. You've already sort of saw it against Houston, like against lefties, you can put in Mangum in center field, and that suddenly really does lengthen your lineup quite a bit. He provides that contact approach, he provides speed. I think it's just right now, it's a nice problem to have. Like we talk about this, right? When you have players coming back and you have to make tough decisions, that's a good problem to have.
And let me be clear. Like, I think you could fall on the other side of this argument for a couple different reasons, where you think because we've laid out all these reasons, where you think the best way for the Rays to continue winning right now is to keep Simpson over Mangum, send Mangum down, and continue playing Simpson, start him in left field, and have Morel be the platoon, the bench guy that fills in for Simpson against lefties and in other instances. And that because of the game-breaking speed, that and even with the poor defense, that the metrics that we use to evaluate players, wins above replacement and things like that, some of the offensive metrics don't fully capture what Simpson brings to the game. Because I agree with that. I agree that like WAR is not really going to be a great metric to determine how valuable Chandler Simpson is. And I think you can watch the games and figure that out. I think you can watch the games and like you said, how stressed the opposing team's defense and pitcher can be when Simpson is up to bat and on the bases. And that some of the stuff, I think if you watch him enough in the outfield, the defense is like, that shouldn't be an argument. The defense is rough.
Yeah.
However, the flip side of that is I'm always arguing that you want the guys out there that can get to baseballs that no one else can, that can turn extra base hits into outs. One play that was a great example of this, and I noted it live. The Rays were playing in New York, and Aaron Judge hit that triple that bounced off of Simpson's glove. There was no one else in baseball except for like maybe a Victor Scott that even gets near that baseball. And Simpson was able to get there, and it bounced off his glove. And it shows he just looked kind of awkward, even when he does get to baseballs, just kind of putting himself in a position to make a play. I could see the argument that, but I want the guy that has a chance at getting there. And some of the other guys, like Christopher Morel, if you have him in left field, there's a lot of balls that he just wouldn't get to. So if I'm going to play the other side a little bit, I think it's a fair take to think, I still think Simpson helps this team in ways that Jake Mangum doesn't, or that maybe not Cameron Meiser, but that Jake Mangum doesn't.
The counterpoint to that, though, is that ball for Judge is true. The problem is there's been 3 balls the opposite way where he plays a single into a double. Like he had a couple, like against Arizona, there's a really good example where he 2 outs, he dives for a ball. He's not really all that close, and what would it be, a single and first and second turns into a run scored and a runner at second. Like that is something that I think when you're the Rays, you're looking at that, it's hard to overcome that, that extends innings that can break a game the other way. So I think Simpson has a really good chance to be a special player that actually can be a really good center fielder. And the fact that he isn't worse is actually a testament to his athleticism, his speed, and his just baseball instincts, that he is you throw a lot of people out there, they look pretty uncomfortable. He is at least, he's been bad in the outfield, but he has made some plays that you also see the flashes of okay, he just needs those reps. He needs the time, reads, it takes a long time. I mean, when Kevin Kiermaier came up, he was several years older with many more years of center field experience. Jose Siri has played outfield his entire, pretty much his entire life. Jake Mangum's 29 years old. He's been playing outfield for the majority of that. So
yeah, and he's been playing at a high level either in the SEC or in the pros for a decade now.
Exactly. So it's not to say that Chandler can't do that and that he's never going to get there. It's more that this is a guy who has been a couple months above AA this year and learning a new position. So it's impressive. It's very impressive where he's at. And it is impressive that you can make a pretty good argument that he still could be on this team and you'd be pretty happy with that.
Well, and a couple other reasons, like Josh Lowe being back, they've been hitting him against righties in the leadoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Simpson was either hitting first, and then he also hit 8 or 9 a few times, but he was hitting the leadoff spot a lot. I think just kind of what that does to your lineup, where it's okay, Simpson in the lineup is a little less necessary now that we have Josh Lowe back, and he's obviously been great since coming back and powering this run. Him and Brandon Lau have hit really well. Junior Caminero just won American League Player of the Week. The offense is doing enough to where we can go without Simpson's because Josh Lowe steals a ton of bags too. Jake Mangum can steal bags. There are other guys. The other player that I want to mention really quickly, I think that plays into this decision, is Christopher Morel.
Yes,
and Christopher Morel, who we've talked about in recent episodes, his performance has been disappointing, but I've been disappointed at how little playing time he's gotten and worried about what the big picture plans are. And when Simpson was playing, over him in left field almost every day, that was a little frustrating. We did see him play twice this weekend against Houston. Those were both against lefties. He hasn't played against any of the righties they faced last week. We'll see what comes this week. But Christopher Morel, who is out of options, Eric Neander had some very interesting comments, I thought, on WDAE about Morel, basically saying we need to see more from him, and the time's not up, but the clock is ticking, and I'm paraphrasing there. And that Christopher Morel does need to step it up. And so you've got this period between now and we're less than 2 months away from the trade deadline before you really have to start thinking about what your roster is going to look like in the home stretch, where Christopher Morel has to prove himself. He cannot be sent down to AAA. I mean, he could clear waivers. I don't know if he would. I doubt that he would.
100% would. I think that's something just so because a lot of people have sort of brought that up as just cut Christopher Morel and accept that you lost the trade. And I think I think that's kind of silly because somebody else will pick him up and he will be claimed and he would easily go to another team.
And Morel is he barrels the baseball more than I think more than anyone on the team except for Caminero. Morel's tools are there too, and I agree. He has been poor, and there's no excuse for that. He does need to play better, and if it gets to the point where he's not, then you might need to find a trade or DFA him and replace him with someone else. I'm completely okay with that. I'm not ready to cut bait yet. I would like to see him play more, and I think it is very telling what they think about him I don't know if this comes more from the front office or if it's Kevin Cash and his staff, that it was Simpson over him, and now it looks like it'll be Mangum over him most days in the lineup. If I'm Christopher Morel, I do not feel comfortable right now.
Well, and I think this is something we've talked about a lot, is just the kind of confounding usage of this, right? And I don't. You can think one way or the other about the Paredes trade or whatnot. I don't really care to relitigate that, but more just they identified Chris Morel and had been circling him for a while. They traded for him. He is on this team. He's 25 years old. Yeah. He has a ton of what's interesting with Christopher Morel is he has the tools. He's 25 and you can split his entire career almost entwine into 2 different levels. He has 854 plate appearances in his first 2 years in the majors, where he had an almost 800 OPS, 116 WRC plus, so 16% better than league average. He had 42 home runs in that time. He was a 3-win player over that time. There's a lot of power, a lot of barrels, a lot of stuff to like there. Then you have last year with the Cubs, half year with the Cubs, half year with the Rays, and then this like partial year. And you're now looking at a split. You're now looking at, instead of those 800 appearances, you're up to 754. He's at 82 WRC plus. So he's about 18% below league average, only 24 home runs. So the power has gone down. Like I don't see, I think for me, is like when I hear people talk about Christopher Morel, I think people seem to talk in like definitives. And what I'm looking at in his stats and his numbers, and just even watching him, the eye test, I can't be definitive one way or the other. Like I cannot definitively say, like, give it time, Christopher Morel will be fine and he's going to be a good player. But I damn sure can't say like he's cooked, he's toast, he's done. This guy's got nothing, because he has equal amount of time where he was a well above average bat with power and barrels and hard hit rates and bat speed. And I've seen the opposite. So I don't know. I do think there's a big issue right now, which is, and it's the good issue, right? Like Mankiw and Meisner are way better than they should be, like than anybody expected coming into the season. Maybe the Rays expected them to be better, but like they were not in the top plans to start this year. They both got thrust into that role due to injuries, and both of them have been impactful players. They have been very, very impactful players. And that kind of took the role that Morel had away. And because of that, he is only a short slide of the platoon guy. And that is kind of an awkward spot where, like, how is he going to develop? How is he going to really get into a groove or a rhythm playing this sparsely? And I don't know if we will know. And it's maybe one of those things where you do have to eventually trade him and just accept that he's going to potentially go to another team and it's all going to click, because 25, 26-year-olds click all the time. Like all the time.
That would feel like losing the trade twice. Like,
yeah. And it's very possible. And it's very possible. And I could see that happening. But this is where it's like, if you can delay that choice a little bit, that is not sunk cost fallacy problem. That is you can allow Chandler Simpson to get consistent playing time, and you can maybe see if there's some spark that Christopher Morel can get there.
Yeah.
The other part of this,
do you think that he's going to play enough? Like, do you think he's going to play?
I don't know. That is the part that I'm a little confused by, which is if Neander is saying he's got to do better and he's only playing against lefties, then
and hitting 8 or 9.
And you're really getting, so you're talking about like 3 plate appearances every 3 to 4 days.
I mean, I thought this guy was going to be hitting 5th for us this year.
Yeah. And like the power numbers, like he strikes out a ton. I get it. And like defensively, he has not been terrible in the outfield. He's been below average, but he's been better than Chandler Simpson. Like he would have had one more run saved had Zach Hampel not been in the stands, which he shouldn't be ever. He should be banned from everywhere in baseball. The thing is, like, Christopher Morel, I can see like Neander making those statements is pretty fascinating, because like I don't think we ever hear the Rays front office talk that candidly about players most of the time. Like when they have pointed comments, that usually suggests
it carries some weight.
Something more.
Yeah,
it carries weight. You have to listen. The other thing, though, about Christopher Morel that is important to note is that, and Neander mentioned this, is that he has been a mentor to Junior Caminero. Like he's a top teammate guy, and he has sort of taken Caminero under his wing, and that is important, right? Like you having Caminero, who's this young guy kind of learning the majors, Morel, that, there is a value to that. There is a value to that. But like Neander said too, it's like there's a certain point where that value runs out. But I'm confused as to exactly the plan there. Like I think coming into this season, you make that trade, right? Like I don't think the Rays made like the Paredes trade as like a panic move. They made that move because they saw a roster crunch coming.
Yep.
They saw the opportunity to really take advantage of that and do some work that would have been winter in the summer. And Christopher Morel is a guy who had 5 years of team control, still very young with some loud tools that suddenly was not in the Cubs' plans anymore because he had a down year and they were like, okay, this might be an opportunity to reshuffle some stuff. But like Morel was pretty highly thought of with the Cubs. So there's a reason why you traded for him. And there's a reason why coming in this season, he was in your starting lineup. And yeah, I would love to know as a fly on the wall, like what has changed like of this season to significantly alter your thoughts. And so to me, I don't know. I can't definitively say that Morel is been figured out and he's done in the majors. And I definitely can't definitively say like this is a guy that I want to give a ton more time to. But I do think I would like to see him play more and not just as a pinch hitter against lefties or starting against lefty. Like that's not a role that you can succeed with. Like, I mean, I think with Curtis Meade's the same thing, right? Like there's certain guys like you've been lucky enough to not have to use them as much, but like maybe this is just not going to work out here and needs to go somewhere else.
Here's what I think the reason is.
Okay.
And I think this ties into the Simpson decision as well. I think the powers that be, Eric Nander, Kevin Cash, especially after the recent run of form, they think this is a good team. They think this is a team that can contend for the postseason. And teams that are in the postseason hunt, in the pennant race, they do not just hand out playing time to guys just to see what you got. That's what bad teams do. That's what like last year's Rays team does. Well, we're kind of out of it. Let's give some guys some runway. I don't think that the Rays can believe at this point right now, and the same thing they've done with Curtis Meade, although he has stepped up at the plate and I give him a lot of credit. We can't afford to give you those at-bats. Mm-hmm. We need guys that we feel more confident in to produce. That we can't give Chandler Simpson the time to learn left field on the fly in the big leagues. That Christopher Morel, we can't count on you to figure out your strikeout problems playing every day in left field and your average at best defense in left field.
Yeah.
And so for me as a guy who, and I think you agree, that we are excited about what Christopher Morel could do. Mm-hmm. We don't have time to give him the runway. The Rays look at a guy like Jake Mangum, who has come up, 29-year-old rookie, done a job, gets his first big league home run in front of his parents in Houston. Like that's who we want playing right now. That's Kevin Cash is right in the lineup card. It's like, do I want Christopher Morel against this hard throwing righty who might throw a slider in the other batter's box and get him striking out? Or do I want Jake Mangum that can hit from both sides of the plate, put the ball in play, make some plays for me in the outfield, and grind out each of his at-bats? That's where the Rays are at right now. They're too good right now. They think they're too good. Like they haven't hit that like full potential yet. They have over the last week and a half, and there's still a lot of work to do to get in the postseason. But if this was a team that hadn't gone on this run, you might just say, yeah, let's let Simpson figure it out, and let's give Morel some more at-bats here, and see what put Morel maybe on the display case a little bit more before we get to the deadline. And now the Rays there's guys that are playing every day, and there's for the first time in a long time this year, and I've been kind of shocked at how Kevin Cash was managed this year and written his lineup. There are true bench players.
Truly.
Like, most of Kevin Cash's tenure, everyone's platoon. It's not always lefty righty platoon, but guys are in and out of the lineup, playing here, hitting in different spots of the order. The Rays like truly have bench guys. It feels like for the first time in a long time, and
they have bench guys, starters going over 100 pitches, complete games.
Yeah,
Kevin Cash is completely
5-man rotation. Nobody missing a start.
Everyone going 6 innings at minimum. Like what? It is
different, and it's been very interesting. It's been like I really love going on Baseball Reference, and there's the 2 tabs on the team page where you can look at the defensive alignment, like game by game, and it shows all the names. You can do the same with the batting order. Like I tweeted about it a few weeks ago when the Rays ran out the same outfield for 4 straight games. This is the first time in over 3 years that they'd done that, and it was like Meisner and Jankowski and I don't know someone else that you wouldn't expect.
Simpson.
It was Simpson, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
unique
Travis
outside of that.
Jankowski is finally, they were like, this settles this. Yeah.
Travis Jankowski also back in AAA, started his rehab. Only played like a few innings yesterday. That was planned. I don't know.
Mhm.
I just don't imagine he'll come up again. I imagine he'd be DFA'd and maybe would be happy to stay in Durham.
Okay, now here's the real interesting thing. Travis Jankowski's ready to come back. Do they pull the trigger? Because like they probably kick the tires on a lot of options trade wise. Do you see a June trade of Christopher Morel, and you say, well, if you're going to be a bench player, Travis Jankowski accepts that role very well.
Yeah.
See,
But
I just personally, I'm like, a good Chris Morel does a huge amount of impact to this team because he can run off the bases. He's a good clubhouse guy, great in the bench, has so much power. Like that is the
but
type
it
of guy
doesn't
you would
look
want
like
on your bench.
it doesn't look like from what we see that's changed for Morel since he's become a bench player.
No. I mean, that's the problem but like, it's like a good Christopher Morel, like the first 2 years, those first 850 plate appearances, you had that is a huge impact on this team.
Yeah.
Where'd that guy go?
I don't see a world where you jettison Christopher Morel for Travis Jankowski.
I don't either. But I guarantee you there will be a lot of people online and on Ray's Reddit that will be like very upset when Travis Jankowski is cut.
What I will say, and this is kind of ties into my bigger point here, is that Eric Neander and the Rays are being very proactive about this team. And I think that signals their belief in what this team is capable of. And you still have reinforcements on the way. You've got Ha-Seong Kim, who played his first game in Durham yesterday.
Yeah.
Looked a little rough at the plate, but looked fine. Played second base. Looked fine defensively. Just bat speed looked a little slow. Just needs some more time. They might really milk his rehab assignment in Durham. You've also got Shane McClanahan, who's throwing. Seems like he might be getting closer to thinking about a rehab assignment. So there are reinforcements on the way. And if you can keep this good run of good form going, when you get those guys in stride, like I don't think the division is out of the question. It'd be really hard. The Yankees are very good.
They are very good.
They have, I don't know, maybe the greatest hitter of my lifetime, not named Barry Bonds.
I don't know. Like Judge is doing some stuff this year that is insane.
But other than that, like Max Fried's been really good. But like other than that, the Yankees have holes. You could be
at some point. You think Trent Grisham will come back to resembling his career norms?
But my point is that the Rays are being proactive. They're not just resting on their laurels. Like they're making the moves they think are necessary to stay competitive. Even if it's on the margins, even if you're only getting better on the margins. And one move they did to do that was to get rid of Ben Rortvedt, who has been absolutely terrible. Like love Ben Rortvedt. I think I was drinking the Ben Rortvedt Kool-Aid last year a little bit when he.
I think we both were
for like a month. I fell in love with Ben Rortvedt. But they get rid of him, they DFA him, and they acquire Matt Thaiss from the Chicago White Sox, who Matt Thaiss for me is when you have Danny Jansen, who's also been a disappointment, but Matt Thaiss is who you want your backup catcher to be.
And I do see this as almost potentially becoming more of a truer platoon. I think Jansen gets more time, but I do think this could be a bit more of a true platoon. Jansen has really picked it up. Yeah, exactly. Like 60-40, 55-45, that type of thing. Like, whereas the other one was like probably 80-20. Rortvedt was getting like one game a week. Jansen has definitely picked it up, by the way. Like, I really do think, like, you look at his at-bats, he's putting together way more consistent at-bats. He's drawing those walks. He's starting to really figure it out at the plate, which is good to see. Matt Thaiss, though, I like this. This is exactly to your point, right? This is that proactive thing. Again, if the Rays were looking at, I'm not sure how I'm going to say like they have a snowball's chance at the division, but I will say like they absolutely should be firmly in that wild card contention. Like before the season, I thought they could absolutely compete for wild card one. I think they are firmly in that wild card one contention window. There's 3 wild card spots. I think you do choose to maximize your chances early, at least through July, and then you decide what you are after the All-Star break. But this is the type of move, right? Like if you were like, I just don't believe we're completely not going to be able to stick in this. You keep Rortvedt, or you cut him and you bring up Kenny Piper, or like, like it's a backup catcher, right? You don't need to maximize that. Matt Thaiss, this is not like some crazy sexy move, but Thaiss is a really interesting guy and somebody that has actually been on my radar before. He's been a guy that like walks a ton, very athletic guy, kind of okay behind the plate. He does some things really well. The issue this year, though, for Ben Rortvedt was that Rortvedt was not doing that great behind the plate. Thaiss has been as good behind the plate as him, but the bat is so much better. So
yeah, Thaiss is just a better Rortvedt.
But also with some more room potentially beyond that, because better Rortvedt, like he's at a 22% walk rate on the season, which is the highest walk rate of like any. He's a top 5 walk rate in baseball right now. Like this is a crazy. He has 22% walk rate, 20% K rate. That's going to come down, but his career walk rate is about 14%. Last year was at 15%. Like this guy can draw walks. He can get on base.
And there's a little bit of power in there, I think, like a little bit, maybe.
There is a little bit of power. There is some swing changes that happened this year. So he's making more contact this year. And I think there is some potential for like an actual skill upgrade.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is one of those things where it's like, as a career norms, you're still fine as an upgrade over Ben Rortvedt. Right. That's where it's like the better Rortvedt. He's solid to slightly below average behind the plate, exceptional blocker, who can draw a ton of walks and get on base. Little bit of pop. This year, though, like he's been almost worth a full win above replacement on Fangraphs WAR. He's had career high walk rate. And he's really starting, like his plate appearances have actually been really quite good. Like he has some actual skill change success that could signify that there's something a bit more here that's more sustainable, and he won't be just back to his career norms. Now, all this being said, this is just those types of upgrades that you do see good teams making, because you're just like replacing players who are just complete negatives that are dragging you down, where it's like, yeah, Jansen needs to play better because he's your starter, but you're still going to have to use 2 catchers, and you can't have that guy come up and be a complete negative. Whereas Thaiss, if he is a neutral to slight positive, that's an upgrade. Like you want to just make upgrades. You want to make those on the margins. That's what the Rays, we talked about this coming into the season. What we thought was going to be really successful with this team was that you want to have a lineup of like the 9 players on the field and 4 bench guys, that all of which can play and can be at least in the not suck range.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the Rays do well, is that when that lineup, you don't have those like this 3 batters are just a black hole that will kill every rally or start the inning with 2 outs so that you have no chance of starting a rally. And that's what they've had last year. That is not the case this year. And this upgrade here, small move, but I think it has a real nice impact, because that takes by far the worst hitter on this team, one of the worst hitters in baseball performing wise this year, and replaces it with a guy like, again, just replace that with the 22% walk rate and no drop in defense. Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. Again, marginal. You think that Thaiss might play more? I'm not so sure. I'm not really sure how much he'll play. But he's there, and he's definitely better than Rortvedt. And Rortvedt, I think I was just drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit last year. He had one really good run that really kind of boosted his season's numbers. At the end of the day, he was a guy you traded for like the day before opening day last year, and that's kind of what you got. A true backup catcher that probably played a little more than he should have last year and hasn't hit for almost a calendar year. So, he's back in Durham. The Rays are stretched pretty thin in Durham. There's Trace Barrera's hurt, Logan Driscoll's hurt, Dominic Keegan's DHing. You got Kenny Piper down there. So,
he did make waivers. So that is nice. Yeah, I'm glad he's sticking around. So interesting about playing time before we move on. So right now, in the last week, so since last Tuesday, you have Thaiss playing twice, rhyming, and Jansen playing 3 times.
Okay.
Thaiss was on the White Sox on Tuesday. Wednesday, travel to the team. Played against a righty on Thursday. Sat Friday, Saturday versus lefties. He's a left-handed batter. Played Sunday. You have Jansen against a righty on Wednesday, both lefties on Friday, Saturday. Sat Sunday, sat Thursday, sat Tuesday. Those were well, you have an off day and road bet.
I mean, that would seem that's a 60-40 right there.
That's there you go. That's the number. But
now
I'm
you
curious
place 2
going
lefties.
forward. I'm curious going forward. I don't think you're going to see Thaiss against any lefty, and I don't think Jansen is going to be the short side of the platoon. But I do think you're going to see, like, if there's a tougher righty, you can sit Jansen an extra day, right? I think if you're looking at a week,
Jansen being an older
games,
guy, like, he's going to need rest.
Yeah,
and that
4-2 is exactly what I want in a 6-game stretch.
That might improve Jansen's play. Like,
totally.
Maybe the Rays leaned on Jansen more than they were comfortable with because of how poor Rortvedt was playing.
Exactly. I mean, in Jansen's best years were in Toronto, and he had Alejandro Kirk, and there was a pretty good split right there where you were at pretty much a 50-50 split. And you could see, even again with Thaiss, you also have the ability, and we've seen that even with Rortvedt, the Rays were doing more like pinch hitting, right? You saw Jansen being used as a pinch hitter, and you can do that because now you can sub him out, or you can pinch hit for Jansen with, if it's against a righty, suddenly now you have like a Rondo or Lau or Lowe on the bench. Bring them in, and suddenly now you can bring out Thaiss, or pinch hit
Thaiss. Hit Thaiss for Jansen.
You get 3 walks against Hunter Brown. 2 walks against Hunter Brown, 1 against the bullpen.
Right. No,
that's 3 times on base.
It's a good move.
It's a good move. It's just a good move.
It's a good move.
Just a good move.
A little bit more about the Houston series, which I thought getting out of there with a split was great.
100% on the road, tough team.
I felt really bad about the last game of the series with Hunter Brown, especially after Hunter Brown got lit up playing in Tampa, throwing a temper tantrum in that afternoon game, which is completely warranted. You're having to pitch in those and how hot and humid it was in Tampa. And was just really frustrated with his performance. And he's been a front runner for the American League Cy Young and got a second chance against the Rays and made the most of it. It sucked for Taj Bradley, who had probably maybe one of the best outings of his career on Sunday. But the big moment from that game that I want to talk about was Taylor Walls pinch hitting in the 9th inning against Josh Hader. And first pitch looked like a ball low and away. Umpire calls it a strike. Taylor Walls, lets him know, expresses his displeasure with that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I think did he call time? Did he use his timeout after that to kind of
okay, so he steps out. I think he might have called time there, or he just was taking a long. Well, he stepped out of the batter's box, so he must have called time. You can't.
Yeah, I think he was using. I think he needed, and probably rightly so, needed his time there.
Yeah.
But as he was stepping back in, looked back from the only camera angle that I've seen of this, looks like he's looking back at the home plate umpire, and pretty clearly taps his helmet as if to mimic an ABS challenge, like they were able to do in spring training and like they're able to do in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Which is been told, the umpires have been told, like, that's an ejection. That is showing up. That's as bad as drawing where the pitch was in the dirt with the knob of your bat.
Classic. Yeah.
And I think the players have been told that as well.
It's okay. This situation is funny because I think the umpire all game, both teams really hated that zone. Nobody knew where the ball, nobody knew. Like, Hunter Brown was struggling with command, but he was annoyed. Bradley had some pit, the strike zone was just completely invented by this umpire. And so that was not a strike all game. It was now a strike in the 9th. Hader does not need the extra help against that. It's a close pitch enough. Like, if you look at the StatCast on it, like the Savant, it's off the plate, it's low, but it's within like a few like you could absolutely call that a strike. It's very generous. It's not consistent.
And it's Josh Hader.
It's like one of those things where it's like, he's the umpire's ready to go home. He's ready to go home.
If I'm Taylor Walls though, and I'm in my first at bat of the game, facing one of the best closers in the game in a 1-run game.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want to have that.
You don't want to give him a free strike. And if I'm also Taylor Walls, and we didn't even really get to the point. So he's ejected, was shocked that he was ejected.
He went feral.
Then needed to be restrained by like
full goblin
multiple people, which I mean looked like George Brett Pine Tar game mad.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked to see that from
he had some swim moves. He had some swim moves in there. He was getting under some people, getting around.
He was livid, and I think kind of building up in the pressure that some of these players feel, especially a guy like Taylor Walls, whose big league career, or at least his time with the Rays, like his back's against the wall. We talked about Hassan Kim in Durham. You know, he's playing less again. It's been really, again, with Taylor Walls playing time, it was everyday shortstop to then, now it's Caballero. Nope, now it's back to Walls. Nope, now it's back to Caballero.
So let's, while I have the Rays reference up. Okay, this past week, Tuesday, Jose Caballero starting shortstop on Tuesday. Off Wednesday, Walls plays that one. Then shortstop Thursday, right field Friday, shortstop Saturday, shortstop Sunday. So that's played 5 of those 5 games out of 6. Played shortstop in 4 of them. Taylor Walls played shortstop on Wednesday, played shortstop on Friday, pinch run on Sunday for Jonathan Aranda, his only at bat in the 9th. That is a bench player. Jose Caballero is the starter. And one of the times that Walls is playing shortstop, it's just Caballero into right field because it's a lefty and you're just trying to get an extra righty bat.
Right.
You put Hassan Kim on this team, there's no playing time for Taylor Walls.
No.
That's what I see there. And so do you, I like that. Are you saying like the Chandler Simpson demotion also works for another thing, is that it's basically sending a signal like the quality and bar is here and we have a higher aspirations. And so even if you're Chandler Simpson and you're getting a ton of, MLB social media is featuring you like 2 to 3 times a week, we need a little bit higher than this bar. And Taylor Walls is like, yikes.
And I'm a little like, what do you do with Taylor Walls if he is the move off the active roster for Kim? Because Carson Williams is the shortstop in Durham, and with the start that he is having to the season, like he needs to keep playing. Like there's a lot of development there. Like he has had a really rough. I'm kind of soured on him as he'll be fine. Like he'll get up to the big leagues. Like he's young. But I'm not as excited. Like I think coming into the season, we were thinking, wow, the Carson Williams era might start this year. And now I'm like, maybe it'll start at the end of next year. I don't know. He needs more time. But Taylor Walls, is he just going to go down and be an infield utility man in Durham, play second? Like
better get ready to learn second base, buddy. It's it might be the case. Carson's not being pushed off a short. He's not getting pushed off a short.
And you do need to make 40 man. You do need to make 40 man room for Kim.
Yeah.
Now there's other pitchers that you could DFA. You can get rid of Wagaspack or Seabold or Englert. If you need to make 40 man room. Probably not Englert. I don't think it'll be Englert. But it could be Seabold. Could be Seabold.
Yeah.
Could be Coco Montes. If you need to make 40 man room, there are other guys that can do it, because then Taylor Walls becomes Coco Montes. If you get rid of Coco Montes, Taylor Walls would then become the guy where if you have injuries to Caminero, Meade, Lau, Kim, or Caballero, Walls is just the replacement on the bench.
I think. I mean, here's the thing: Walls has only 2 years left of control anyway. We're almost through this.
Really?
Yeah, 2028. He's a free agent. So he's almost there. I That's an interesting point, actually, that you're thinking about. I was thinking immediately, yeah, you send him down and he just plays third and short and second and just, keeps him around where you can maybe work on some bat stuff, but like he's available, like again, because Kim is not full-time yet. But if Kim can play, he's probably going to get his full 20 days of rehab, right? Because Kim is just coming back from this injury. If Kim can play shortstop 2 out of 6 games, like Taylor Walls, then why not just have Caballero? And yeah, maybe Taylor Walls is a better player than Coco Montes. We'll all agree to that. But is he that much better that you just want to have a guy that maybe causes some distractions? Who, listen, here's the thing. I didn't think the strike call was a good call in the moment. I think it was inconsistent, and I get the frustration. However, here's the thing. Taylor Walls clearly was trying to show up the ump with that thing. Now, I do think umpires should have a
lied about it
skin.
In the. Do you think he lied about it in the press conference?
I absolutely think he lied about it. I absolutely think he trolled. I have a little bit more respect. Listen, it's plausible deniability, but he looks straight at him. He taps his helmet.
Yeah.
People were saying
he wasn't like moving it around or like maybe he lifted his fingers.
He adjusts his helmet a lot. He adjusts his helmet a lot, but looking at the guy and doing it. Now, I always think that all umpires, and I posted this. I think umpires need to have a little bit thicker skin, right? You make a call that's questionable in the moment. I think you need to allow players to give you a little bit. I think you need to eat some shit.
Yeah, because your job is never on the line, like as a major league umpire.
Exactly. You are potentially like Taylor Walls could get suspended for a little bit, and now Taylor Walls may never play in the majors again.
Yeah,
but
and seriously, this ejection.
Years.
Like, do you think like this ejection, the way like he reacted, like that's got to be considered when you like think about his role in the organization?
This is where I'm getting to. It's exactly the point, Brett. Is like this is not the first time that Taylor Walls has created a minor distraction for the team.
Yeah,
a thing that people have to answer to. And here's the thing, right? When you are at 52 WRC plus, 48% below average. I don't want to answer a question about you. If I'm Kevin Cash and I'm going to the press conference, if somebody is saying Taylor Walls, I'm like, I do not need to know. Like, you got to be neither seen nor heard. You need to be Buster Bluth right here. That's you do not like, I do not want to ever, you are like an NFL safety. You don't want your number to be called. You just want to be like, absolutely do not get that. He clearly is trolling him. Like, I'm sorry, but like, I would have rather he just go full throttle.
Said I was frustrated.
Do the full tap thing and be like, your job is soon to be replaced by robots. Just tell him, do a robot dance. Just go full bore on it. Get your money's worth.
It would have made a lot of sense because I can relate to Taylor Wall's frustration in that moment. It's a 1-run game. He is facing a guy that is clearly like he is the underdog in that at bat. Times a million.
100%.
And to give him a free strike, I'd be pissed too.
Like your hope is like maybe drawing a walk.
Own up to it. Say it in the press conference when you're asked about media. Say it's an intense moment. I thought he caught the call wrong. You can watch it back on video. What I did deserved an ejection.
I regret doing it, but in the moment I felt, I think I would be more respectful of that because I think he did it. Chris Morrell had to come in.
Oh,
yeah, Chris Morrell had to come in. So you had to come in
and
completely dry.
So who would have played shortstop the next inning? Like Junior?
I don't know. I think that's a Caballero was still in. Caballero was at short.
Why was Walls in the game?
Walls pinch ran for Jonathan Aranda after Jonathan Aranda was on third with 1 out.
As the
they
DH?
pinch ran Aranda was at first. So it would have been.
So why was Morrell not hitting?
So there's another question that people brought up was that why didn't you pinch hit Morrell in that spot?
I got to look at the box score. I'm confused.
Taylor Walls
I missed the end of the game.
Taylor Walls has a hit against Josh Hader. He's the only current Ray that apparently has a hit against Josh Hader. Now, Does that matter? No, of course not. Obviously not. But like, because Chris Morel, you get him in there, like maybe he runs into one. Like the Crawford box is right there. Like you could absolutely. Hader's given up a home run before. I do think that's another part of it, which is like you're saying that Taylor Walls also basically with a pinch hit penalty, right? Because he just got into the game.
Okay, so Mead, so Aranda, Walls ran for Aranda and went
pinch hit.
And
Mead pinch hit for Meisner.
Yeah, and he went to first.
Yeah.
So you needed someone. You had so I guess
think it was because.
So why not? So you had Caballero in the game who was already in left.
You would have had Morel go to the outfield. You would have just moved Mangum or Josh Lowe. No. This is a part. Short. This is the part. This is the part that is the thing, right? So Walls puts you in a spot. You give him a little bit of chance. You say, fine. Try to get on base. The goal will be, here's my thinking with this. And I know people brought this up. Like, if you can't even use Christopher Morel pinch hitting here, then like, are you just completely done with him? And like, maybe, I guess that is maybe what they're thinking. But like, okay, you don't pinch hit Christopher Morel, which is fine. Whatever. That's fine. I can understand that because what you're doing in this situation, here's my defense of that, is you're getting Taylor Walls, who is a guy who has a very good zone, like strike zone knowledge. Perhaps too good in this spot, right? He was like, that was definitely a ball. I know it was a ball, and now I'm going to show you up. You want basically Taylor. The job there is not hitting a home run. Your job there is not hitting a home run. It's getting on base so that Junior Caminero behind you hits the home run and you steal the game. So I think the goal there is.
Do you think Taylor Walls has a better chance of getting on base than Morel?
I think the argument could be made that Taylor Walls facing Josh Hader. Although here's the thing, I guarantee you Morel has faced Hader because he was with the Cubs and Hader was with the Brewers. So I'm certain he did. All right, so that actually is very confusing. He must have terrible numbers against them. I don't know. I think it is questionable.
I can see you thinking that Walls has a better chance of getting on base.
I think Taylor Walls being DFA'd for Ha-Seong Kim will be great because Kevin Cash can no longer use him. Kevin Cash can no longer have to use him. Like this is the problem. It's like every scenario I just have to go like, well, he went to Florida State, I guess. Maybe that's I'm just gonna say Florida State, I guess, is the only thing.
My take, we're spending way too long. We started talking about the ejection, and now we're really breaking down like how
it's a weird moment because you have Taylor Walls, who's an objectively he's like slightly better base runner, which was already an interesting scenario anyway. But you have Christopher Morel is also a good fast base runner.
It's a one-run game, and wouldn't you want multiple bites at the apple for guys that can run into one? Like there's a 0% chance that Walls hits a home run.
Yes. I would not make that move. I would do Christopher Morel, but like it is weird.
And if I'm Christopher Morel, I'm like, you're giving that guy the bat?
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to use this time right now to prove myself? And
it's a wild scenario.
I thought Caballero was out of the game. When I heard that Walls came in as a sub, and in my head I'm like, okay, well, if it's a one-run game, you need a shortstop.
You have Danny Jansen too. Like that would be a bit. It's a bit more if you're not. You have Danny Jansen. You have an off day tomorrow, right? I mean, I guess you don't want to use Danny Jansen in case Thaiss gets hurt and it goes into the X. But like, I don't know. Morel is there. Like, I do feel like it's weird that he don't. I mean, I don't know. If Morel gets traded within the next couple of days, like I would not be shocked.
The way they use him, yeah.
Like I do think like there is a possibility that like I don't think it'll be for Jankowski because I don't think Jankowski's worth like needing to keep. But like I do.
Well, like DeLuca, he's not. DeLuca had a setback, so he's nowhere close.
When DeLuca gets back, I don't see Morel on this team. Period. Because DeLuca is a guy that I think you want to have DeLuca and Meisner as your center field platoon, and you are love and life with that level of defense and bat. I think that's really good.
And then Mangum plays left and Lowe plays right.
Exactly.
And Caballero can play right against lefties.
Exactly. And then Morel, you're not using him anyway. Right? Mangum can play against everybody. and Josh Lowe can play against everybody. And if you, again, like you said, Kebby's your guy to. It's weird. It was a weird scenario. Taylor Wall's 100%. I was really rooting for it because I thought the ump was doing a really bad job. So I was like, just let Taylor Walls like get full on Delman Young crazy, and then we can be like.
I thought he was going to do some crazy stuff.
Eliminate both problems. You know what? I think all Rays fans agree. Year-long suspension. Yeah. It's tough but fair. Tough but fair. Tough but fair.
Hey, Law and Order, right? We got to be. Anyways, couple pieces of news before we wrap up the show this week. Kyle Gibson is a member of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. That's
one of the big Baltimore Orioles offseason moves to address their pitching.
After they lose Corbin Burns, who also might be hurt for a while. They lose Corbin Burns, and they're like, all right, let's go out and let's get Charlie Morton and Kyle Gibson.
These old pitchers are surely as good as an all-star level starter.
But anyways, Kyle Gibson, not good anymore. Is going to Durham. It was effective for
good. There we go. Okay, I'll take effective. Good is such a strong word.
Yeah.
He's been in the majors for a long time. I will say this. Yes. Like he has found a way to be a starting pitcher for a long time.
And I think we talk about this with other guys. I think there's a certain level of soft skills that you need to have to stick around in the majors for a long time, like Gibson. When you're not, when your talent level isn't incredible, like think about like Jesse Chavez, right? Has like signed for
one
the
time,
Braves
very brief Ray.
Was he really?
He technically he was traded to the Rays, and then in the offseason they traded him like a week or two later to the Braves. I think one of the 8 times he was traded to the Braves.
Times, yeah. Anyways, Kyle Gibson, you might see that like that might have came across your ticker. You might have got a notification. You might think, oh, that's a name I know. Are the Rays bringing a new pitcher? I don't think we'll ever see. Like, I don't think if there's an injury to a pitcher that he comes up. I think it's Boyle. I think Gibson, I don't know. I think he's just there to kind of make up numbers. I don't know if they want an extra starter in Durham to give some other guys some rest from innings, or if they're dealing with little injuries or whatnot. I think it's a good guy to have around your young pitchers in Durham. And Mark Topkin reported something that he's got like an opt-out after a month. And if he's got another opportunity, he is free to go. So, just worth mentioning that Kyle Gibson's part of the organization. He's not on the 40-man roster even, so I don't anticipate him pitching for the Rays.
I think it's a nice bit of depth to have in Durham. I don't think he should not be ahead of Joe Boyle or
Well, here's Seymour. The thing. If you have one starter go down, it's Boyle.
Yes.
Crazy stuff has happened, and the Rays have been lucky this year, so I'm knocking on wood. If 2 starters go down, you might need a Kyle Gibson to come up for a couple starts.
Totally. And you can also burn a Kyle Gibson very easily. The other thing too, I feel like it's not a bad guy to have. Like he is also, like you said, with the soft skills, he's not a bad guy to have around the clubhouse in the minors. Teach some tricks, right?
Well, could he do like you could see a situation where we're talking about 40-man maneuvering. Okay, we're gonna DFA. We're going to DFA somebody and send Cole Sulzer down. I don't know. And we're going to bring up Gibson for one spot start to push everyone back a day, knowing that Ha-Sung Kim's going to be activated the next day. So we're going to just DFA Gibson and bring Kim up and move the route. Like you could do something like that. And the Rays have done, who was the pitcher? Was it 2023? It was like Brett Anderson made a start for the Rays.
Oh, whoa. That is a deep pull.
It was a redheaded guy. I think it's Brett Anderson.
Could be. I'm not recalling this one.
I don't think it was Brett Anderson. It was somebody. It was an Anderson. Some pitcher made a start for the Rays in 2023, like one start. Anyways, you could see Gibson do that. I'm going to try to figure this out before we end the show. You could see Gibson playing that role, but it's, I don't know. It's not really noteworthy other than that. Evan Longoria, this is more notable news. Evan Longoria officially retiring as a Ray this Saturday. Really cool that he's doing this. Really cool that I think Rays fans kind of get the closure. Somehow, even after the schedule reworking and more interleague play, he never got that return to Tropicana Field. And part of me is very sad that he's not going to get to do that this Saturday. The Rays have announced that he'll come back to the Trop next year to be inducted to the Hall of Fame, have his number retired, the Rays Hall of Fame. But I don't know. It'll be cool to have Evan back to hear the violin. I'm sure they'll play his walk up music when that ceremony starts. And do you have any super fond memories other than the obvious ones about Evan Longoria at his time with the Rays, the greatest player in franchise history?
Oh man, I like tons of fond memories. I mean, like he was just such a this is something that I remember distinctly, and I was thinking about this when they kind of did the announcement of the kind of retiring as a Ray, and then next year he'll have his jersey retired and all of that, or the statue ceremony and all that. I remember I was in college when Evan Longoria was drafted by the Rays. I remember distinctly talking with going to a photography class, a digital photography class. That was it was fine. No offense, he did a fine job. We were kind of just absolutely just not like paying attention that much, and it was a pretty easy class. So we would spend most of our time when we were like photoshopping stuff. Instead preparing for like the MLB draft. Me and my friend who is Brendan, who is a San Francisco Giants fan. And basically we were talking because the Rays had, a top pick and the Giants had a high pick, and I really was interested in Tim Lincecum. I thought that was the type of pitcher that like the Rays could be interested in, like they kind of reminded me of Scott Kazmir, like a kind of a shorter, like weird, quirky guy. I was reading some cool stuff about him, like when it comes to like the MLB draft, you don't have any like real reference points for any of these players. Like you haven't done actual scouting. You're just like reading what other people have said. But I was like, this guy sounds really cool. But then I was like, this Longoria guy also seems pretty cool. Like it would be cool to have like a bat. Like he seems neat. And I remember my friend was distinctly really excited about him potentially falling to the Giants. And so that's what got keyed me onto this. So I was reading about him. He seemed really cool. And then when the draft comes around and Rays take Evan Longoria, I'm like, oh, hey, that's a name I actually know. That's exciting. A couple years later, there he is doing awesome. And so is Tim Lincecum. So like, it was kind of cool to be like my very bad. I'm not a good scout. I'm just regurgitating what other people had. But I nailed the two very important ones. So
did you put that on your resume when you applied for scouting director with the Rays? That you were in agreement.
Two guys I circled. Two guys I circled in that draft.
I think Clayton Kershaw was that draft as well, taken behind Longoria.
Did not have him circled.
Yeah,
missed the Hall of Fame, missed the slam dunk Hall of Famer, but got the freak and the kid. No, I mean Longoria he was such a amazingly impactful player. I remember him just having like seeing a Tampa Bay Rays player in like national TV advertisements.
Yes,
was really cool. The hat ad for, was it New Era at the time, where he's like chasing somebody down with a helicopter and jumping out to find to get the hat back.
That was incredible.
It was just like one of those things where you're like, this is not this is reserved for other teams. This is like a Yankee thing.
And the Rays at that point, they were a really good team in 2008. Obviously, Longoria was a huge part of that. But what that team, like, there was a lot of Island of Misfit Toys energy on that team for the rest of the team, like not considering Longoria. And it needed a face, right? You needed a guy that's like, okay, this guy is our star. He was a first-round pick, rookie. Now he's rookie of the year, all-star, potential, MVP candidate. And so to solidify that, I mean, he was the face, like, and to kind of carry us into that era, that first era of winning baseball, was just, I think, great in the community, was always great to fans. And it would take something really special to supplant him as the greatest player in franchise history. And like, even if someone had a run like his with the Rays, like it would, I don't like you wouldn't view them in the same light as an Evan Longoria.
You'll always remember your first love type of
Exactly.
thing, right? Like, it's like this was the first like important homegrown player besides like Carl Crawford. But the problem with Carl Crawford was that he was with bad teams, right? The problem with Rocco Baldelli was with bad teams. Like Scott Kazmir, Carl Crawford, like these were the first like true, like, wow, these are great players. Like I can dream on these players. But they were with Kazmir, he was traded. Carl Crawford, it was just like he's the best player. He's the one guy who is going to get the all-star nod because you have to have an all-star, but he was this fun player, but he wasn't getting the national TV, right? And so Longoria became like the first true like homegrown player of the first good team in Tampa Bay. And I think that is special. And like Carl Crawford was just as big a part of that too. Like he was a huge part of that. But like and Kazmir was there too. But like this was it's just different. It's just different because that was your, he was the 3rd overall pick. He's like a top pick. You nailed that draft, you nailed that piece, and it was such a big part of that. And so it's going to be hard, right? Like there's been a lot of players who have huge impacts, all-star, multiple time all-stars. Like you have great players coming through that have national acclaim, but it doesn't quite, it's going to be hard to ever match the same way. And there could absolutely be, right? If the Rays have like an MVP level player at some point, that would be what maybe does it.
There was one player that had a shot, and he is not playing right now. He has just started a trial in the Dominican Republic. So
there was one. Yes.
Yeah. I don't like as great as we think Junior can be, right? I don't think Junior is going to hit that.
No,
level. He could. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him try.
It would be very fun, though. I mean, like, here's the thing. Even then, when we think about like Randy Arozarena with his like 2020, playoff thing, that was still like, maybe national ads and very popular guy. But
that was the closest we got. That was in terms of the star of the game.
Blake Snell
being in the home run derby.
Blake Snell, a Cy Young guy, and
you're right.
Like
pitchers are different.
David Price had national ads, but very different.
Randy was the closest we got to being like casual sports fans across the country, not even baseball fans, would know who Evan Longoria was and would know who Randy Arozarena was. And like the Rays, they haven't had any other players like that since like Wade Boggs, and he's not yours. Like
right.
To get Longoria, we're not going to hash out the trade or anything here, but it's like you got him for the best years.
Yes,
and
by far.
He didn't go anywhere else other than he did win a National League pennant with Arizona, and that was really cool to see him get back to the World Series. He's not going to be remembered 10 years from now, 20 years from now. You think back at Evan Longoria's career, you're not going to remember the Giants days or the Diamondbacks days. Any other final thoughts?
No, I think it's really cool. It's nice to see Longoria back, kind of retiring, with the Rays and that ceremony. And next year, the extra big ceremony. I mean, I think this is it's very cool to see, sort of bring him back into the fold, into the local area. And I would really love to see Longoria potentially. I mean, we talk about like potential future like sales of teams, and we talked about this, and you could see Longoria as a guy that could potentially have like that additional role that like keeps popping back up with the Rays, whether it's as a part-time owner or just like a team emeritus, like who just shows up for like
I would like him like George Brett does for the Royals.
Exactly. It just gets to like do a fun weekend where he just like pops in and is like around. Like I could see him having more of an impact because that is the thing, right? Like as much as he likes baseball, the Giants, the Diamondback, like these are going to be definitely afterthoughts. Like I don't think anybody has really a big moment or memory of any moment with either of those teams, to be perfectly honest. No, it's only the Rays, and people will actually kind of forget that he was on the Diamondbacks.
Even though they won the pennant. Yeah, and it played a decent amount. Yeah, it'll be cool. I wish I could be there. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
it'll
next
be
year.
awesome.
Maybe next year when they do the number retirement, I could be there at the Trop. And I hope that, when or if a new stadium is built in the Tampa Bay area, like I think they have bigger plans for what the Hall of Fame could look like and a better
Mhm.
way. In Tropicana Field, you're limited by just space in a lot of cases. To how you can enshrine those moments and those players.
Mhm.
I'm not a massive fan of the statues they have out in front of the Trop of Longoria and of Aki. They both look kind of similar, both with their arms in the air. Evan from Game 162 and Aki from the '08 ALCS. But I'd be really interested to see how they can better capture those moments in that Hall of Fame. And obviously, yeah, I just hope Longoria's around now that he's retired. I think that was tough. Like the fact that he never had that homecoming moment either. I think the Rays were probably upset about that too, because that's an easy sellout at the Trop on a random weekday against the Giants. They never got that opportunity. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Raise Your Voice. Thank you guys for listening. We've been live on youtube.com/@Raise Your Voice. So if you're still watching us on there, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, turn on those notifications so you can join us whenever we go live. We're also still available wherever you get your podcasts. If you can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, that's one great way to spread what we do to more and more Rays fans. If you really want to say thank you, patreon.com/Raise Your Voice. You can become a member cheap as $1 a month, $1 a month on patreon.com/Raise Your Voice. As always, make sure to head on over to draysbay.com to check out all of that great Rays coverage. Once again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.